Good morning, YouTube mine explorers.
Good morning.
Tom and Julie here, of course. We're here at a rock structure. I don't know if this was a cabin or there's a bunch more over this way. This doesn't really look like it was a cabin. Maybe just a little protective wall. Well, I'm here at a big ore bin and probably a little equipment shed. And a beautiful rock wall. Stacked rock, still very square. Up here is an ore bin, and I don't know, it looks like there's a couple of flywheels. I'm gonna have to climb up there and see what was going on, if I can figure it out. Some racks down here out of steel. It looks like there was a quartz vein somewhere nearby. Here's this area from up top. It looks like that's a jaw crusher on top of this, on the bottom of this ore bin and on top of the next ore bin. I was wondering because the chute coming out of that lower one is very small and it wouldn't handle more than about a 6-inch piece of material, so this is being crushed first before it's let out. And then I don't know, there looks like some tailings over there. There might be a leach operation or something over that way with those tanks. Here's the top of the first ore bin. There's some grizzlies up here made out of track, the way they often are. That's looking down to the mouth of this upper bin. It had a davit type of thing cantilevered out here too for lifting something. That's looking back out into the main valley we were in. Look at this cool anchor holding the whole bin back from lurching forward. It's a big, about a 2.5-inch pipe. The end of it's flattened. Got a big pin coming through it. All hand forged stuff. Pretty neat. Trying to get down here. It's pretty steep though. Okay, this is the bottom side of this bin. Looks like it comes into a jaw crusher here, or a crusher of some sort. I haven't actually been able to see the jaws yet. It's got 2 big wheels on it. There must have been a motor sitting here, or an engine of some sort. And this is looking down over the edge. See the little teeny chute down there? So things were crushed by the time they got into that one. Well, I don't expect you're going to be able to turn this one.
I can't, I already tried.
Yeah, okay. This looks like it's adjustable here, this piece, which probably would have been to keep a belt tensioned or something to drive this thing. That's the output of this thing. I still don't see how it actually crushed, if it's a regular jaw crusher or if it's something else. I don't see any badging on it, do you, Julie?
No.
Interesting. It sure is a heavy piece. This looks like the type of stuff that's being fed into the crusher here. A lot of quartz. Looks like silver. I think this was a gold mine though. Okay, we're on foot going up a steep road. That ore bin with the crusher on it was pretty cool. That's up the road a little ways to my left is the way we're going. Here we're climbing. a lot of these workings are up higher in these hills, so there's like 50 openings around here. We haven't really been able to get close to any of them yet, so we'll see what happens. We are still working our way up this road. Very steep in some places. Always amazes me some of these roads that the old vehicles could make it up and down, hauling ore and lumber and timbers and whatever. I was noticing here the burros have been eating this. I'm guessing anyway. Something's been eating it. Only tracks up here are ours and burros. Julie's on the burro trail right now. The burros won't touch the creosote. It's either unpleasant tasting or harmful to them because it's right on the burro trail. There's a big cable anchored into the rock here with a piece of drill steel and some clamps and a big turnbuckle adjustable style link there. That's a heavy duty one. I guess this might be a lower tram terminal and an ore bin, because this looks like it had a chute on it over there. I'll go show it in a minute. But here's the cable taking off, going to points higher, and then over there to the right a little bit is a tram tower, it looks like. And way over there looks like another structure of some sort. I don't know if that's the top of the tram or an ore bin or both. There's an ore chute there, comes out, and you would have been able to drive up here, although the roads are crazy right here. Look at this one going up here. I don't know how you'd ever get a truck up there, but apparently they did. We're plugging away here. This is looking forward on our trail. It's getting a little messed up. There's a big road wall up here. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's not real tall, but it's quite long. We were reading about the next canyon over from here, which has a big road wall. And it was built in the 1860s and 1870s by Chinese laborers. Found that to be kind of interesting. There's something down here in the wash. A couple things, I can't tell what they are. Here comes the Billy Goat Mine Explorer. Look at the view down this canyon where we've been coming up. Wow. So we're starting on this road wall over here to the right as I'm looking now. Look at the big quartz seam here. That's kind of neat, but it only goes back a couple feet. Well, we're coming up to a bit of a mine working. I see a rock wall and a waste rock pile. The only tracks up here have been burros and now Julie's. Well, there's part of a burro. Somebody's been eating ribs, burro ribs. The burro's seen better days. I think there's a shaft over here. Some big steel pieces here. I'm not sure exactly what they are. This was bearing for something right there. The Davis Hoister. Look at that date on that thing. December 11th, 1888. Wow. So that must be a base for a winch of some sort. Here would have been like the main shaft where that bearing is. And then this big piece, I don't know what this is. So this says Machine Works, San Francisco, California, and the Davis hoister, patented December 11th, 1888. Up here, you can almost see where it said something else. And I think what they do is, instead of completely remaking the casting molds for these things, they would pound this out so you can't read it, and then just redo the wording instead of making a whole new cast for it. So there's a vertical shaft here, it looks like. I'm afraid to go much closer. So this is overlooking this shaft and collar. Everything is pretty much rotted away completely. I leaned on this part of this collar right here and it almost went down the shaft. And amazingly, the ladder still comes up to the top, but it's way too rotten. And we didn't bring our ropes way up here. We're quite a ways up in the mountains. So this was a gold mine, I believe, though, because you can see all the quartz laying around. There's some beautiful quartz veins up here. Judy's got the jawbone of the burrow. Here's some vein material, it looks like. It's scattered all around here. Yeah, there's the skull. The skull and the jawbone. Boy, it's been picked clean. Look at that. Put them back together here. Look at the choppers in that guy. Pretty big, aren't they? There's something else down here. Let's go down there and look. And then eventually we're going to try and work our way down to those other two big piles. And that other big bin is down there somewhere that we could see from a long ways off. Hey, there's a colorful looking specimen. So there's another hole here. Pipe coming out of it. The pipe's just sitting there. It's an open stope of some type. It's so dark I can't really see in there. Here's the bottom of this waste pile. It's a regular mountain of about half quartz. Big chunks of it everywhere. Look at a little quartz vein right here. Look how little that is. Crazy. Well, I went in there. This one didn't do a whole lot. This looks like it's a cable drum. Probably from that little hoist that was up top there. There's a big riveted tank down there and another galvanized tank, and then to the left of it I see some flywheels hiding in the weeds. Looks like they're about 3 to 4 foot diameter flywheels. A pretty decent waste rock pile, and I don't know what's going on with it. Looks like they kind of got it gated up or something. Let's go look. Looks like this is the corners of a little building at one time. I don't know. It's almost, oh, there's no door. It's almost got a little spring type feel to it because there are some bigger bushes here. And this is what looks to be at one time a possible corral. Wow, what a crazy place. It's like Twilight Zone here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a bucket over there?
Yeah.
Maybe a feed bucket or a water bucket.
Yeah.
Here's that riveted tank. A couple of beams up here and a big door for something. It's got some writing on it. Let's go look. Bridge Beach, St. Louis. Is that like part of a stove? A lot of parts laying around here. Fittings and stuff. Here's this thing with the flywheels on there. I haven't gotten over there yet. Getting there.
Look what Tom unearthed.
So we have some flywheels here on the crankshaft. I'm guessing this was an engine, probably a cylinder bolted here, and then maybe a compressor or water pump mounted on these two timbers. What are the odds you think this thing will spin?
Slim to none.
Who do you think the last person that spun it was?
I have no idea.
George Washington?
Maybe. Oh, look at that.
I like that. Think she'll fire up?
You could. Need a little more manpower.
It's dragging on something over there.
That's pretty good. Yeah, probably Ross. Cool. Neat.
It's like, thank you, like the Tin Man.
I know.
When you... Look at this ring. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a piston ring out of that thing. It's a split ring. It's not broken. That's pretty cool. Stick that in there. So there's a big tank. It's a big riveted tank, probably about 10 feet long, and 2.5 foot diameter. It's not far from that engine and whatever else was mounted there. And there's some other water tanks and some, looks like some water plumbing coming out of that area. So maybe that was a water pump. It's possible there's a spring up in here and they were getting water somehow, filling these tanks up. Here's part of a barrel. I don't know what they were doing with it. It's awfully white. Let's go see what this is all about. This is the top of the waste bowl. I'm guessing this was a portal of some sort. Yeah, Julie's on a piece of rail there. There is a bin way over there. I don't know if that's the top of that tram. I guess it might be. It looks like there was maybe a wooden water tank here with these big bands. Right on the edge of a cliff though, or drop off. And then we got to make it over to that area over there. I believe that's going to be the top of the tram, but I'm not sure. So let's go see if we can get in this mine and actually do some mine exploring today. Underground. Alright, well that looks to be the portal back that way. And this is a pretty big waste pile too, so look at that big chunk of quartz right here where our poles are leaning up against. Crazy. Yeah, on the left side too, same thing. Well, unfortunately, this is what you see when you come in here. The rat's nest, and I don't know if it's backfilled or blown in there or what, but it's plugged solid. Bummer. So I'm right up above where that where that portal was plugged. And look what I see. There's a big indentation here. Either it caved on its own or it was blown shut. And then right here there's a pit that's about, I don't know, like 5 feet deep. And there is a hole in the bottom of it. But that would be going towards the portal. If you were to have to dig this, you'd have to start up at the high side of it. It'd be a monstrous task. But man, what a bummer. Look at that big waste pile out there. We are working our way over towards what I think is going to be the top of the tram, and also an ore bin. And there was probably track going from all the way from where that portal is caved over to here, I'm guessing. So I see a lot of pipe on the ground over here. And I noticed inside here there is a wood dowel type thing. So this was pipe rail that they ran over to this. Here's another one. So that was what was holding the pipes in a line with each other, and then they ran pipe rail all the way over here to run the ore from the adit where we were. It's plugged. So this is the bin. I don't exactly know. I don't see it being the top of a tram. Although I can't see underneath it. Maybe underneath there's some tram workings. Well, this is some kind of a hand cranked winch, but I don't exactly see what it would have been for. It had a wood drum on here, or spool, but what would that have been for? Watch that last step. So we're going to the bottom side of this bin here. Oh wow, look at the big hand crank windlass with a natural tree for a spool. Look at that. That's like a 7-foot wide windlass. Alright, now here's more cool stuff. Here's a gate operated by a big lever, and above that are gears and a bull wheel, and this was probably just a back and forth tram, meaning that there were cars on either end, and the heavy one would pull the full one would pull the empty one back up. Because there's not a big cable reel, it can't be, probably not even a motor on this thing. If there was, it'd be very small. And all this is all fabricated. All these chutes are fabricated. Look at this, had a flapper. You can go one way or the other. And then this big gate would, the operator must have stood up on something, because that thing is pretty far up in the air. We are making our way back to where we came from. A little different way. Well, once again, there must be a little water coming out of this mine, because there's a good amount of vegetation right there. So here comes Julie through the portal. Look at the big natural timbers above the portal there. We come in, and right off there's some large, like a 3x4 and strap rail, and a fair amount of air. And a hatch. It looks like an ore drop down to a lower level. Ooh, a cold breeze coming through here. Look at the old timbers. Boy, this is old stuff, isn't it? Look at the size of these old timbers. They're all hand hewing this. Look at that.
Look at this thing. It's huge.
Hey, look at the old axe marks on there.
Yeah. Look at that.
It takes you right here. Let's take the right and take a look at it. Probably just a short crosscut. Usually is. Part of an old carbide can. And there's the face to this one up there, about 20 feet. A little stope up here. A little teeny stall. It's about a 1 foot long stall. Alright, let's go back to the main line, see where that goes. Okay, here we are back to the main line in this really cool post here. Boy, that was a big tree trunk and they squared it off with their axes. That's pretty cool. Really cool. I still feel air coming through from somewhere over here. Oh, here's the quartz vein. Look at that.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Look at that. That's what they were after, and this is what they left behind, so it looks like it's at least a few feet wide, or was a few feet wide right here. Alright, let's go down the main line a little bit. Yeah, there's your silver vein again.
There's some gobbing here to your right.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's keep going. There's got to be a shaft up here somewhere because of all this air coming through. And here's the hanging wall on the left here. It's a very steep vein, almost vertical. Here's the quartz vein overhead again. Nice vein. Yeah, it's getting colder. Looks like there's some iron in here too with all this rust colored stuff. There's a little stope. They followed this vein straight up here. There's a chute. Here's some official track in here too now. Well, it almost looks like a placer deposit, all this stuff. Number 1 chute. Okay, this is just looking up the other side of this chute, the far side of it. And I can see quite a ways up. And then here's the big quartz vein again. Boy, that's a nice vein in it. Let's move a little further in and see what happens. Old natural timbering still. Just made out of trees for the most part. There's a little bit of dimensional lumber here on the chute. There's another shaft of some sort. It's not very deep. There's a 5-gallon can down there, and there's another chute, and here's another little different vein here. A little more red in it, not as much quartz. Here's a little working to the right. Doesn't go very far. And I don't see the quartz vein over here either. Oh, there's a ladder. That doesn't look very good, does it?
No. It's a little busted up.
These are the more modern pipes, but that ladder has come off. What do you see?
Collapse. A couple of collapses.
Chute number 4. Look at the old cedars. I think they have the bark like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Looks like it.
I think we can get through there. So I just came through that area. Come to another, either an ore drop or something that they had a hoist here and pulled stuff out of there. Another gobbing wall. Another collapse, but let me see if I can get past this chute. So this is looking back at the chute I just came past. I still feel an enormous amount of air moving through here. And this is what it looks like going forward. Doesn't look good, although it does keep going. I'm not sure how I'd get over there. Okay, it does keep going that way a little ways, but it's pretty jumbled up and it looks kind of unsteady, so there's another drop right here. And there's another stope overhead. There's a piece of an old ladder here, old can and that gobbing wall. I don't think the can says much on it. Now this is kind of a wetter mine. Oh, look at this. Cool, that's a ladder hook. That used to hold ladders on to the timbering. This is your ladder. They would pound this into the timbering. But instead of being alongside of it like that, it would go into the timber. It's a hand-forged ladder hook. Doesn't surprise me because there's a lot of ladders that have fallen out of these stopes. There it is for you. And here's another shot of the beautiful quartz vein. Silver, gold, probably some copper, zinc. You know the rest of the story. What an epic explorer though. All that quartz up there and those colorful mineral veins and the adits and that. Great. Man, the views are to die for up here. Pretty wild stuff.
Well, thanks for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on our next adventure.